There is a particular kind of peace some people feel only after closing the door behind them. The noise fades, the expectations disappear, and for the first time all day, their mind no longer has to respond to anyone. This is not always laziness, fear, or a failure to participate in life. Sometimes, it is simply relief. The relief of being exactly where you want to be, doing what feels natural, without explaining yourself or pretending to enjoy something you do not. Maybe you know someone like this. Maybe you are that person. You decline invitations, not because you dislike people, but because staying home is not your consolation prize. It is often your first choice. From the outside, that choice is easily misunderstood. People may call you antisocial or afraid of life. But what if staying home is not where your life stops? What if it is where you finally return to yourself? For many, staying home is not about withdrawing from life. It means returning to an environment where their nervous system can settle. At home, they can control the noise, pace, stimulation, and demands placed on their attention. They no longer need to monitor every expression, follow every conversation, or adjust themselves to match the energy in the room. Home is where they stop performing and start feeling like themselves again. This can be difficult for highly social people to understand. People who love staying home are not broken versions of extroverts. They may simply process stimulation and recover energy differently. Many spent years trying to live another way. They accepted invitations and stayed long after wanting to leave because they were told this was how relationships were built. Yet each time, they learned the same lesson. Even enjoyable socializing could leave them depleted. They might genuinely love the people around them and still need hours or sometimes an entire day to feel mentally restored. That is why they may say something that sounds contradictory. I love my friends. I just do not need to see them constantly. The friendship is real. The affection is real. But social connection still requires energy. Conversations demand attention. Crowded spaces bring noise, movement, and unpredictability. Even when it is pleasant, the brain may need quiet afterward to return to baseline. Personality research describes introversion as a normal temperament difference, not a defect. Some people prefer quieter engagement and process sensory or emotional information more deeply. But labels never capture the whole experience. Many people who prefer home have a rich internal world filled with thoughts, ideas, interests, and creative possibilities. External activities must compete with that world. They are not rejecting experience. They are protecting the mental space in which they think, create, recover, and make sense of what they have experienced. Culture often treats home as the place you remain when nothing better is happening. Going out is framed as living, while staying in is framed as missing out. But to someone who genuinely loves being home, home is not the absence of activity. It is the presence of preferred activity. It may mean reading, creating, cooking slowly, learning something new, or simply sitting in silence. These moments may look uneventful, yet feel deeply satisfying. Often, the real problem is not going out. It is the pressure to go out. It is the assumption that a quiet evening must be justified, or that declining an invitation means rejecting the person who offered it. They want to say no without causing hurt and relationships where their capacity can be discussed honestly. When this need is dismissed repeatedly, an internal struggle begins. First comes negotiation. Maybe I should make myself go. Then guilt. Why do I not enjoy what everyone else enjoys? Then resentment. Why can no one accept that I am different? Eventually, if they are fortunate, acceptance arrives. This is how I function, and I am allowed to build a life around it. That realization can bring extraordinary peace. The behavior may not change, but its meaning does. Staying home stops feeling shameful and becomes a valid preference, like choosing tea over coffee or mountains over beaches. The guilt may remain because social activity is praised, while solitude is treated with suspicion. But slowly, I should want to go becomes I am allowed to stay. This is a form of authentic living, arranging your choices around what genuinely sustains you instead of performing the life you believe others expect. It does not mean staying home is right for everyone. It means it may be honest for you. The conflict exists because human beings are wired for belonging. From childhood, many of us learn that fitting in keeps us connected and safe. So when your needs differ from those around you, the mind naturally asks, "Am I missing something? Is there something wrong with me?" Friends may say, "You never come out anymore." Social media shows crowded dinners, celebrations, and trips, making a peaceful night at home appear empty by comparison. Then the brain must hold two competing truths: "I feel content here," and "everyone says I should want more." But a full calendar is not proof of a full life. You can attend 100 events while feeling absent from every one, or you can sit alone at home, absorbed in reading, creating, thinking, or resting. Presence matters more than participation. Yet every homebody eventually faces one important question: is this solitude restoring your life, or quietly making it smaller? Repeated social performance can teach the brain that connection without authenticity is not genuine connection. If every interaction requires hiding fatigue or exceeding your limits, socializing begins to feel more like acting. In that context, staying home can become self-preservation. It is the mind saying, "I cannot keep spending energy in ways that leave me emptier than before." This does not mean they care less about relationships. Often, they invest deeply in fewer people. They prefer quality over quantity and meaningful conversation over constant contact. Depth requires space. People who absorb subtle details, emotions, and shifts in tone often need time between experiences. The same sensitivity that makes them thoughtful can make nonstop stimulation exhausting. Adulthood finally gives them the language and agency to say, "I function better with more solitude than most people." Naming that need can transform "something is wrong with me" into "this is part of my temperament." Once people stop fighting their own wiring, they recover energy previously spent pretending. They can direct it toward creative work, intellectual interests, practical skills, reflection, or spiritual practice. Over time, they may become more comfortable with their thoughts, more aware of their feelings, and more capable of enjoying time without constant input. This is not necessarily isolation. It can be autonomy. Their time alone does not feel empty. It feels full in a quieter way. Still, there can be loneliness not from being alone, but from being misunderstood. Sometimes what they grieve is not the social life they are supposedly missing, but the acceptance they wish they received. They want to say, "I am staying home tonight," without it being translated into depression, rejection, or fear. Of course, solitude and avoidance are not identical, but they can overlap. If staying home is driven entirely by panic, causes persistent loneliness, or prevents someone from living according to their values, it may deserve closer attention and support. Healthy solitude restores you. Avoidance gradually makes your world smaller. That distinction matters. The goal is not to hide from every uncomfortable experience. Growth still requires challenge, but growth does not mean forcing yourself into every crowded room. Sometimes growth means learning which discomfort expands your life and which pressure merely exhausts you. The psychology of people who love staying home is ultimately about alignment between temperament and lifestyle, energy and environment, inner needs and daily choices. Most of these people already tried to become more social, spontaneous, and outwardly active. They wanted to enjoy constant plans the way others seemed to. But staying home was not their failure to live fully. It was their discovery that a full life can take a different shape. Quieter than the world expects, richer than it appears from the outside, not broken, not empty, simply honest. If this feels like your story, tell us what staying home gives you that the outside world cannot, and subscribe to Mind Decoded for more insights into the hidden patterns shaping who you are.